calendars suck. I mean, this version of a calendar sucks. The Western calendar is really boring. We've had calendars since prehistoric times. You would have thought we would have come up with something better than literally a spreadsheet. So I want to make a better calendar. A calendar which actually connects us to the world around us and reminds us where we are in the great expanse of things. It shouldn't have any of this flipping action, because that just is way too much work. And let's be honest, most people, myself included, just leave it on a single page the entire year and then realize in December, oh snap, it's still in June. The best feature of a calendar is probably that you can mark off specific days, like going to have lunch with Katie this day, or seeing my, So we should definitely be able to keep that functionality. But it should have features of the Earth's orbit, like where we are in the Earth's orbit. This is kind of like one of my favorite calendars. It's really not a calendar at all, but it could be. Over here is the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, and then the Earth goes around into March, June, September, and back to December. And I like this kind of thing because it makes you feel, oh, that's why the seasons happen. The Earth is tilted at every single point, and so the sun is shining unequally on the northern and southern hemispheres. But this could even be improved, like an accurate orbit. Where is the highest point in the orbit? How many degrees would be exactly 1 day or 1 week? Wouldn't it be nice to have the moon in this to know where the moon phases are at each point around this orbit? This is a generalized picture. This works for any year, basically. But it would be nice to have a specific version of it, specifically for, say, 2022. Our humble lunisolar calendar will start on the December solstice, the day when the tilt of the Earth makes it so the North Pole of the Earth is pointed as far away from the sun as possible. It's significant, not just because it's the day before my birthday, but also because it's the darkest day in the Northern Hemisphere where I typically live. And like a seed in the soil, in the darkness of the soil, I feel like new things always start from the darkest places. Of course, in the south of the Earth's southern hemisphere, it's the longest, brightest day of the year. So I don't really know what that means for the symbolism, but maybe there's always a bright side exactly opposite the darkest side? I don't know. So here's the plan. We'll render a physically accurate shaded Earth on that darkest day, plop a happy thermonuclear fusion ball in the middle, draw the accurate Earth orbit all the way around with 3 more Earth renders for the equinoxes and the solstices. Using my custom Python and OpenGL planetarium code, I rendered 365 shots of the Earth, one for every day, seen from the same Earth relative position in space, with the moon forced much closer than it orbits just to see its phases change. Just for fun, I also rendered what it looks like if the camera rotates along with the Earth. And it's pretty rad because you can see the light on the Earth shift from north to south, from summer to winter. Then I renamed each photo to correspond to the day it was taken on. I copied the solstice and equinox pictures into Procreate, changed the transfer mode to add, and scaled them into their spots. And to see how long exactly each day is, I drew lines from the sun to the Earth at midnight each day, and extended them past the Earth to make space for writing appointments and holidays. To see what week it is, I made each day line fade up until Sunday, making Sundays the lightest gray and Mondays the darkest. I also added markers for each new and full moon, with the new moon lines faded a bit darker. I brought these screenshots into Procreate, blended the layers, wrote in labels for every full and new moon, and voila, we have a kind of lunisolar calendar. But some things about it felt off. Like I didn't like the lens flare in the middle, and some of the full moon lines seemed like they'd been bumped or shifted. And there wasn't enough room to write in the lines past the orbit. So I started kind of fresh with a single layer containing all those lines plus more. Lines for aphelion and perihelion, the highest and lowest points in the orbit, and the orbits of other planets. When calendars of old were invented, we didn't have access to planetary ephemerides tables telling us exactly where every planet in the solar system is going to be throughout the year. We didn't even know about Neptune, and let alone know that the solar system is one of billions in a galaxy and that the galaxy is moving toward other galaxies. So maybe we could reflect that in the calendar as well. So I moved the camera above the sun, but extremely far away, and zoomed in a whole bunch. Using NASA JPL's most recent Planetary Ephemerides table, DE440, I set the date to December solstice in 2022, and gave every planet a 365-day-long orbital trail. This shows us exactly the path all the planets will take throughout the year. And it always blows my mind how little the gas giants like Neptune move way out there. Then I used the Hipparchus catalog of star positions and velocities to place the top 20 closest star systems to us in 3D space. And then I began the seemingly Sisyphean task of labeling every single day, January to December, throughout the whole orbit of the Earth. And it took a few hours, but really made me appreciate how many days there actually are in the year. And then I realized that this black background would be pretty hard to write on with black ink, so I brightened it up. And then I filled in the middle inside of Earth's orbit with a darker color to make it feel a little bit more spacey. Here is the top 20 nearest stars to the sun. It worked! And so each one of these bars here is how far the star will move in this year. But of course, those movements are actually really tiny. I mean, it's 10 billion kilometers, but on the scale of, stars, that's really small. So I had to scale up the velocity movement lines by 10,000 times in order for you to be able to see them. Anyway, that's pretty beautiful. There's the sun, there's Alpha Centauri and Proxima Centauri. This is gonna go really well on my wall. Okay, next up. And here it is, the master calendar for 2022. I don't know about you, but I think that is a better calendar. I might be biased. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's kind of weird to look at the entirety of our future orbit and think about what these days, what these little slices of time are going to be filled with. It makes me excited, but excited at the possibility and terrified at the enormity of it. If you want to have a copy of one of these, let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'll start a merch store and make a Southern Hemisphere version of this. Or if you want a digital copy right now, you can head on over to my Patreon page and support the channel financially, which will give you access to a download of this bad boy right here. I'll probably see you at the next full moon, and till then, see you in the universe.